That's weird. That's weird. Kind of weirding me out.
You are a sad, strange little man.
Crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Isn't that weird?
That's weird, man.
It's strange.
What's up, campers? Welcome back to episode 96 of Camp Strange. I am your camp counselor, Alex Tobin.
And I'm your other camp counselor, David Stokes.
And we're back to bring the spooky, wacky, weird, strange, and... No, I don't know what to say for this one. I don't want to give it away too soon.
Sexy.
David, okay, there we go. That's always a good adjective to add to any of our stories, because there's always a little sexiness and horniness, as our longtime listeners have figured out. But before we get into our longer stories that we have for you today, we got to catch you up on any of the news you may have missed. And David, I have one that's not funny, but it's very I mean, I don't know. It's funny, but it's not funny. A lot of stuff right now is funny, but not funny. I think that that's the category it falls into. And this story is no different, as hospital patient dies after family members switch off ventilator to plug in air cooler.
Oh, no.
It was in India, so I get it. It gets hot there, but apparently, like, the family members weren't even supposed to be in his room, and he was in like a solitary ward because of obviously like COVID related things. And they went in there and they're like, "Oh, it's really hot in here," so they unplugged his ventilator and plugged in an air cooler. And like 30, I guess the ventilators run for like 30 minutes maybe with like stored power, but after 30 minutes, the ventilator shut off, and they're like, "Oh, that's weird." And then the nurses ran in, and they're like, "What happened?" And unfortunately, they weren't able to save him, but he was very cool in those last final hours. So I have to say, not funny, but funny.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a rough one. I don't know if I want to make a comment on that one.
It happened. You know what? I don't say go do it. It's something that happened and we need to be aware of. It's just kind of like, it's in every comedy movie. Have you seen like Basketball when he like unplugs? He's like, he flatlined, you know, when they trip over the cord. It's like kind of like, you know, people always make the joke like unplug life support to plug in my phone charger type thing. And like it actually fucking happened, which is insane. But David, you have any other lighter news for us today?
Yeah, I got one here. Lord of the Rings TV series issues New Zealand casting call for funky looking people.
Wait, which characters in Lord of the Rings are they casting? Because the elves are beautiful. They can't be. There's no such thing as a funky looking elf.
They're looking for those nasty little orc boys.
We got some orcs. We got some dwarves in there. You know, like they're handsome in their own right. A little funky looking, but
what were the hybrid guys called? The
Urukai?
Urukai.
Yeah, those are like the big bad orcs that like have the giant blade, and they're kind of like the berserkers or something like that. They just run in there, and you know they're all the muscled up and shit, but funky looking but buff maybe.
No, just funky looking. Fake muscles are easier to pass around than the makeup and the fake noses.
Yeah, true. But you know, you also kind of want some odd looking villagers. You don't want like your villagers looking really, because like I feel like over the years people have gotten more and more good looking. Because if you look at old pictures, you're like, yeah, like everyone's kind of like pretty plain looking, a little funky looking, and now like everyone's getting more good looking. You know, natural selection. We know how that works. Like, I feel like they want it to be like an old school look for villagers. We're like, that guy has a wart on his face. This guy has a boil on his face.
They're looking for more Steve Buscemi type characters.
Exactly. It just makes it more interesting. There's a reason why he was the star of Boardwalk Empire, I have to say.
It's not his acting skills.
They're like, nothing after 1960 Steve Buscemi could star in. No one will believe it. But speaking of,
going back Steve Buscemi?
No. Speaking of going back in time, and I don't know. This was a horrible transition. It didn't make sense. But did anybody see the Florida town hall about wearing masks?
I know people in Washington are getting a little out of control, but I'm not so sure about. Well, I mean, God, what are they doing in Florida?
So in Palm Beach County, Florida, they had a bunch of people from the city and town, whatever, come in and make points about wearing masks in and how you think people would be like in support of it, but no, not in Palm Beach County, because a bunch of people showed up and everyone is comparing it to Parks and Rec. And I don't know if anybody watches Parks and Rec, but every time they have a town hall meeting, they have people show up and they go, there's a sign that said you can't drink the sprinkler water, and I drank the sprinkler water, now I have diarrhea. So it's like kind of things like that where people are showing up and saying like the dumbest shit possible. And people in Palm Beach, they showed up for the masks, and one person said they want to throw God's wonderful breathing system out the door. You're all turning your backs on it.
Yeah.
And another person says, I don't wear masks for the same reason I don't wear underwear. Things gotta breathe.
Oh my Lord.
So
You can
people
breathe through the goddamn mask.
But people showed up and they're actually genuinely mad about the mask. This wasn't even like a comedy sketch or anything like that, but they're saying you literally cannot mandate somebody to wear a mask knowing that that mask is killing people.
That mask.
And then she said, we the people are waking up and we know what citizens arrest is, because citizens arrests are already happening. Okay. And every single one of you are obeying the devil's law and are going to be arrested.
See, I thought that lady was in Seattle.
No, I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah, true.
But, and then somebody said, keep taking the road of least resistance. Keep listening to the TV brainwashing you from birth. And yeah, they don't want you to fuck with God's natural breathing system. And people are just like, and it's crazy because the people on the council are just like completely straight faced. And I was like, I guess you can't laugh at these people. Then they're not going to vote for you. So they're like taking all this very seriously. And it's just like absolutely ridiculous. People are, they're so stupid. It's not hard to wear the mask. It's not even inconvenient, really. You just put it on, and yeah, it's a little hot, but then just walk out of the room, go by yourself, take it off for a second, you're okay. But
yeah,
not in Palm Beach. It is Florida, so I get it. It's hot there.
Yeah,
it's hot.
It's not,
but
not
wear
so
your masks,
musty.
people. Yeah,
Please
but
wear your masks.
wear them. It's not that inconvenient.
So my next news story here is My Little Pony fans are ready to admit they have a Nazi problem.
Wait! I didn't even know that. And I'm a
Yeah.
brony. I'm a hard. No, I'm not. But seems like a good community. Support.
So
it.
yeah, the children's show My Little Pony. I'm sorry, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. The cartoon show.
That's the show.
Might have a heavier fan base of like 20 and older men that they call themselves bronies.
Mm-hmm.
And they're hardcore fans. And so one of the many things that bronies like to participate in is drawing fan pictures, fan art. Some are appropriate, most are not.
Let's not kid ourselves. There's a sexual element to this, when
Yes.
they're taking these ponies and sometimes they're making them into humans. Sometimes that doesn't need to be happening when they're drawing them. Sometimes the horse form is good enough, but they do add some human parts to them, and a little confusing. But to each their own.
Yeah, and so it's become apparent that there has been an overflow of Nazi pony drawings. All over the internet on the brony boards, that you'll get Applejack, I believe is one of them. You'll get an Applejack throwing up the hand symbol with a little Nazi badge on their arm.
What the fuck?
You can't say that all bronies are Nazis, but there's a good form. There's a significant percentage of
You're
bronies that
stuttering
are
a lot over there,
Nazis.
buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, you're stuttering a lot. I think you've been caught.
I haven't been caught. No.
We know what you
know.
are now.
No.
You gotta admit to one of them. Which one do you admit to?
Would you rather publicly announce you're a brony or a Nazi?
Man, that's the would you rather that I want to be giving out to all my friends and family.
I want everybody
at
to answer that
Thanksgiving.
one. I want everybody to answer that. Yeah.
That's so weird that like, such a hateful group of people would cling to a show called Friendship is Magic.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's about loving everybody, and Nazis aren't known for that. If you guys haven't figured that out in the past 60 years, but
yeah, they're typically not
know
the
what?
most loving people.
yeah, well, hopefully we clear that community of Nazis and every community because we don't need no Nazis. No Nazis.
No Nazis.
But I like the title of this one. It's just a headline. I'm not going to really read into it, but it says thousands signed petition to rename Columbus, Ohio to Flavortown after native son Guy Fieri.
Fuck yeah.
Fieri. Which I would be completely on board with that. I think a town should be closer to me if it's named Flavortown. I support all things Flavortown. But you know what? He does have some restaurants up near my hometown, so I've actually been to a couple of them. That's the first place I had hamburger sushi, which is the most Guy Fieri thing you could ever think of.
How was it?
It was just like it was good. It was like ground beef and like French fries, like wrapped in sushi, and then there's like this really good spicy sriracha aioli that was like on it, and it was fucking really good.
No.
What?
No, I don't like it.
I was
like
like 14 at the time, but I think I would still like it if I ate it now.
That sounds worse than pizza sushi. Sushi pizza?
Oh yeah.
Were you with us when we went to that all you can eat sushi place and someone ordered the yeah, it had like fucking tomato sauce and cheese on it. It was the worst thing I'd ever had. And it was an all you can eat place, so like the rule was you had to like eat it or else they wouldn't bring us more food, so everybody had to eat a part of it, and it was literal torture.
No, that is so fucking smart of a buffet. If you have a buffet, put like every couple like food stations, put something that's so fucking disgusting that it ruins somebody's appetite, so then they don't want to keep eating, and you save money on the buffet. It's strategic.
I forget. It might have been Jared. I feel like Jared had to eat the most of it, but it was honestly one of the worst things I've ever tried to taste. It just shouldn't. Oh man, it was almost as bad as Mexican pizza.
I mean, is that from Taco Bell?
Well, one time when I was a child, my mom pulled out like a Tony's frozen pizza for my buddy and I, and it was called like a Mexican pizza. And so she cooked it up for us and gave it to us, and it was instead of tomato sauce, it was salsa.
People just think because something's red in a sauce that they can replace it. I'm like, that's not how that works. It's like people are like, you can put ketchup. It's like, no, you can't put ketchup instead of sauce.
Yeah, I don't remember everything that was on the Tony's pizza, Mexican pizza, but
Tony's Mexican pizza.
I do remember that it was like a chunky Tostitos salsa instead of tomato sauce.
They couldn't even switch it to like Antonio or something, anything like that.
Well,
like a little flair.
You're aware of like Tony's is like a pretty big frozen pizza company. At least it used to be. I haven't seen Tony's in a while.
Is that
it
the
was
guy
Red
with, like,
Baron
the
before
fucking
Red
chef's
Baron
hat and like on the front? Okay,
it's like a yellow box, I think.
Yeah, but like you know how like Trader Joe's has like Jose Joe's sometimes or something like that for like some of their like more ethnic products, and they like they'll throw something else in there and they'll call it like something else Joe's or something. And it's kind of like a little fun flair. And I think Antonio would have been a good little add-on to that, but
I think you're missing the point. It was fucking awful. The name won't change it.
Well, at least they could distance themselves from it afterward.
Yeah.
That wasn't us. That was Antonio.
Yeah, we don't know. That wasn't us.
Listen to
I
him.
don't know.
He's
Yeah,
crazy.
that came out of nowhere.
Anyway, I think we're caught up on any of the news that we might have missed. So let's get into these stories. But before we do, we got to tell you to drink your coffee. Have you drank your coffee today? You haven't? Well, go get some Spring Heel Jack because it's so good. It'll make you go zip, zoop, zap, 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 zap.
You'll turn into Bill Cosby.
Wait, no, don't don't say that. I didn't say boop bop deet. I just said that's Antonio, not Bill. Spring Heel Jack will not turn you into Bill Cosby. Drink as much as you want. It's great. Don't listen to David. Fuck. We lost our sponsorship. Anyway, let's get into these stories. Now, David, I am a man of consistency. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
We've never talked about this. But, I don't have an opening paragraph, so I'm freeballing this one. But, I do like consistent things, and when I find something I like to stick to it. And what is the one thing I like the most on this podcast? I've done 2 episodes about it, David. And I know you're gonna say probably cannibalism or something like that, because I've done like 40 stories on cannibalism for sure.
You have done a lot of cannibalism.
But today I'm going to be doing a part 3 of one of my favorite subjects in folklore. That's right. We're going all the way west to a little island called Japan. As today I discussed Weird Japanese Monsters Part 3.
Oh.
So I got a couple more Japanese monsters for you. We've always had a good time with the Japanese monsters because I do believe Japanese folklore is the best folklore out there. Hands down. At me, fight me, I don't care. It's so good because they have monsters for literally everything. Like, here in America, we deal with, there's Bigfoot, Jersey Devil, Chupacabra. That's Mexico. He sometimes goes up into Antonio, Texas. But you need to...
San Antonio?
Pizza. No, it's Antonio.
All right.
But, but we have some, folklore, but Japanese have, so much more. And they have, little, onis for everything. Just, for when you forget to close the door to the fridge. There's a monster for that, and it's great. So today I'm going to be covering some of them. And let's get into it. So the first one is called a kappa. See, this first guy is a humanoid reptile named kappa that are said to inhabit Japan's ponds and rivers. They are short, about the size of a child, scaly, and have turtle-like beaks for mouths. If that wasn't strange enough, though, for you, don't worry, because they also have 3 anuses that allow them to pass 3 times as much gas as humans, and forearms attached to one another inside of their shells. So when you pull on one arm to lengthen it, when you reach far with your left arm, your right arm goes into your shell and contracts, and your left arm can go super long.
Oh, okay, I get it.
You kind of get what I'm saying? So
it's
if
like a
you
rope.
want to, yeah, exactly. Their arms are like a rope. David said it. So it's
Quote me.
very, very cool. And the 3 anuses, man, you could have a good old time with. I just meant farting wise, but you could think of other uses. So what they are most known for, though, is the dish-like depression on top of their skulls that contain water. Sort of like a bowl. So they have a big old soft baby spot on their top of their head where they can, store water. And you see, this dish is important because it is the source of the kappa's power and must be kept filled with water at all times. And if the water were to be spilled and the dish / skull dent were to dry up, the kappa will be unable to move and may even die.
Well, that's kind of a shitty weak spot. Top of your fucking head.
It's like, you ever carried a bowl of soup from the microwave to the kitchen table? They have to do that all the fucking time.
Going upstairs must be a nightmare.
Doing a somersault must be a nightmare. But we'll get into that actually. So you see, this may be good info to know, about the water being spilled out of their head or their dish skull dent. Because kappas are generally known to be malevolent and violent. You see, kappas are known for drowning children, drinking their victims' blood, and sexually assaulting women.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you would think somebody with a little bit of a water bowl on their head that if it empties out, they'll die, would be a little bit more careful when choosing their hobbies and not choose such violent, horrible fucking things. But don't worry, they also have 3 other hobbies that are way less fucking horrible and overall evil. See, the first is eating cucumbers. Oh, they love cucumbers.
Yeah.
Which they apparently can't resist. The second is sumo wrestling. Again, weird if you have a bowl on your head. Yeah. And the third is obtaining shirikodama, which of course is a mythical yellow glowing ball said to contain a person's soul, which is located where, David? You guessed it, inside the anus.
Oh.
And
okay.
Their preferred method of stealing your shirikodama is sucking it out.
Oh.
What?
Boy.
I
had a feeling this was going to get horny real quick.
Oh, there's a couple horny guys in here.
Okay.
Yeah, but apparently, I mean, you could enjoy those last few moments, I guess, if like, you're already going to lose your soul.
That's your thing. Yeah.
If you like a nice little turtle mouth.
A nice little beak to sit on.
They're very strong too. So, but apparently, their second favorite. Oh, this is where the problem's coming back in. Apparently, their second favorite food after cucumbers is a human anus. So, be careful when he's there's no nibbling back there when he's trying to take your soul.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't want that kind of nibble back there, right?
You got to be careful what pond you're sitting in.
Exactly. You want to go skinny dipping? No. I just had my anus redone. I'm not going in there. No, thank you. So, although they're generally malevolent, capras are also supposed to be very polite for some reason. And unless you're a child or a woman, I guess. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
They are said to they say that if a passerby bows to them when on the road, they have to bow back, and that causes them to lose the water in their bowls, and then they have to fucking freeze up and die. So, like I said, if you don't like these motherfuckers, just bow to them, and they have to bow back. It's kind of like a vampire where like they have to be invited in.
Yeah.
They're very polite in that way. But if after he bows, and if the passerby and all of his water falls out, but if the passerby refills the bowl on their head, they've said to made a friend and ally for life to spend the rest of your days sumo wrestling while he tries to replace your butt jewel with a cucumber. Honestly,
wait, what? You make that part up?
Yeah. Because
good.
I'm just going to say, like, who needs that? Who needs a friend and ally that's going to try to sumo wrestle you, and then once you get on the ground and he wins or something, then he's going to try to suck the soul out of your butthole and probably replace it with a little cucumber or something. I don't know.
Could be a good training partner.
And we all know what happens when they find the cucumber in there, right?
Yeah.
I fell. I fell on it. I got pranked. Got too drunk and got pranked. But don't worry, David. We have many more yokai to cover right here. Our next little guy, or I should say pair of yokai, are called Ashinaga Tenaga. And they're actually a pair, like I said. And Ashinaga means long legs, and Tenaga means long arms. See, as their names would suggest, these creatures resemble men, but either long legs or long arms. You see, the pair work together to catch fish. So fucking long legs wades in the deep water while long arms crawls on long legs' back and uses his long arms to catch the fish below.
I mean, that's talking about teamwork right there.
I just love it because like long arms has kind of short legs and long legs has kind of short arms because like so they kind of have to be friends or they're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Which is, that's like the Bert and Ernie I want to see. Like, make a children's cartoon about these guys because They really exude teamwork and friendship and long extremities.
It's just sexy family fun time right there.
But you watch out for long arms. Sometimes he gets crazy.
He's a whiskey man.
Yeah, he gets the top shelf whiskey. And guess what? He could fucking reach it if he wants to. So let's go to the next one. That was just like a little side one. So the next one is called Nuribotoke. Nuribotoke. To know what a Nuribotoke or Nuribotoke, I don't fucking know. Nuribotoke. To know what a Nuribotoke is, though, you must first know what a Batsuden is. You see, a Batsuden is a large, ornate wooden shrine filled with religious icons, scrolls, mantras, statues, and other holy items. It serves as a center of household spirituality, and the ancestors of the family are all enshrined within it. During the day, the Batsuden stays open, but at night, the doors to a Batsuden must always be closed because the Batsuden is a gateway to the spirit world, and superstition warns that if it is left open at night, certain spirits can wander freely back and forth between the land of the living and the land of the dead. Nuribotoke is one of these spirits. Now, let's get into what a Nuribotoke is. You see, a Nuribotoke is a kind of grotesque zombie that is a soft, flabby corpse-like spirit with oily black skin and a pungent smell like fish, which actually makes sense because trailing behind the fat Buddha-like man, there's a catfish-like tail connected to his spine. Which is fucking terrifying and awful. So, like, out of the middle of the back, he has, like, a big catfish flipper that, like, he could flap around and it'll make him fly, which is horrifying.
That makes sense.
But that's not even the most striking and disturbing feature about this creature. See, the most striking and disturbing feature is that the spirit's eyeballs dangle wildly from its eye sockets.
That also makes sense.
So they're kind of constantly looking at the ground, or they got to do like a little swinging nipple tassel type thing to see around them.
Yeah.
But luckily for all of us, though, Nuribotoke does not do much other than fly about, flapping their tails and terrorizing the families whose Batsuden they crawled out from. They dance about impishly, reveling in their ability to terrorize the living, which is kind of weird. They're kind of just bragging. They're like, I'm so good at terrorizing. I'm so good at... You're like, yeah, you're kind of fucking annoying, but you're doing the thing. It's kind of weird because you're doing... The way you terrorize is telling people that you're good at terrorizing them. But it's kind of working. I don't know. You're fucking ugly.
Yeah.
And occasionally they try to trick foolish humans by giving them false prophecies, which is actually, in reality, would be the most dangerous thing to do, because, like, all they have to do is go, like, you will live to the age of 91 and will become very wealthy, and then, like, which makes someone go, like, on autopilot their whole fucking life, and, you know, there's, like, thinking, any day now, like, well, I'm going to strike it rich soon, and then they don't even
just
know
around
fat
the corner.
Buddha dangly eyes, fucking fishtail just tricked him.
Another one in the basket. Yeah.
So... don't worry, though. They can be kept at bay by sprinkling salt on the floor, which they will avoid crossing, which is actually hard to believe that chubby, fat fish man will turn down a nice line of sodium.
Yeah, I mean, the salt works on all sorts of entities and monstrous beings.
I think salt is kind of seen as, like, a sign of, like, purity. It's like...
Yeah.
It's like... People use to clean stuff. It's like white compared to like dark magic and white magic. So I feel like people do use, like, I've even seen people like draw. It's kind of weird though, because I've seen people draw like not in person, but like symbols of like Satan, making like Satan whatever pentagrams on the floor with like a bunch of salt. So I think it's kind of seen as like some kind of spiritual conduit or blocker, or I don't know. I think it can be used either way depending on what you're trying to summon or keep away, but
Yeah. I think
kinda-
it's also just because it's a common household item.
Yeah, exactly. I've also seen that like if you put like cinnamon, like ants won't cross that. I remember we did that in like school. Like we had like an ant problem in our classroom and our teacher just sprinkled like cinnamon all over the door. I was like, that's kind of weird. So if you don't want
Was
ants,
that at your... Load up on the cinnamon.
so this next one is another little short one, and it's the Tofu Koza, aka the Tofu Boy. You see, the Tofu Boy is a small boy in a huge hat, carefully carrying a wobbly plate of fresh tofu. In fact, there is almost nothing to mark him as a monster at all. He is actually shy and harmless. The little Tofu Koza does little more than run through streets on rainy nights trying to deliver his plate of tofu to wherever it is going.
Are you sure you're not confused with the Pillsbury Doughboy?
Oh, no, but you know what? They might be related somewhere down the line. This is an actual, I don't think he's an actual human boy for some weird reason, and he's just carrying tofu, so he's not made of tofu.
Oh, okay.
But I know, I think it would be a lot better if he was made of tofu. That would be so much cuter. We just poke him, make
We
him
tweet the
giggle
writer.
and make him jiggle and giggle. But actually, Tofu Koza is so interesting, not because he's the hero we needed, but because he's actually was the first yokai developed specifically for advertising purposes back in 1772. He was actually basically created to sell more tofu, which I think his uniform was very similar to like tofu delivery men or like something like that. So like, let's make like a folklore of a little boy who like delivers tofu, and people will be like talking about it. And then it kind of ran away, and it's become like it's like, figuratively and literally, and it's become like its own type of folklore thing where they're like, oh, I saw Tofu Koza, blah blah blah. But it makes him actually very similar to a character we all know that was created in order to sell and at the time, nasty ass canned vegetable. They don't really sell it in cans that much anymore. But do you know what I'm talking about, David? Do you know which character was created in order to sell canned vegetables, or specifically one canned vegetable?
The Jolly Green Giant and his
No.
stupid ass clothes.
It's actually a very good guess. But actually, and you're also kind of right. But actually, I'm talking about some canned spinach. And I'm talking about who, David?
Popeye.
Popeye the Sailor Man. He was actually created in order to sell more canned spinach, which is very, very interesting. Because if you remember, he eats the canned spinach, and that's how he gets strong and gets his muscles and stuff. So
I didn't realize that he came like after the spinach thing. Like I always thought that they just kind of added that in. I didn't realize that was the main purpose.
yeah, isn't that weird? I mean, you could do some like research on it. I'm like 99% sure that he was basically created by like the spinach, the big spinach, to fucking
the big spinach.
sells more spinach, I guess. I don't know, but it's super weird, but I kind of love it. And we have one more for you here, and this is a tanuki. See, now a tanuki means raccoon dog in Japanese, and actually, they're real
Tom Nook.
creatures that are super fucking cute. You should Google I'm sorry. Is it tanuki? Yes, tanuki. Google tanuki, Tanuki, and they're like these little raccoon dogs that are like so fucking cute. And I can't believe I've never seen them before, but I think they only got them in Japan, which makes sense why I haven't seen them. But
For for any listener who plays the Animal Crossing video game franchise, the character Tom Nook is one of those.
oh, is he really?
Yeah, that's the name, Tom Nook. Tanuki.
Oh,
Tom Nook, yeah.
Fuck. Whoa, I just did a Animal Crossing tie-in. I've never played it. David, you are an avid player as of recent. Or in the past maybe too. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, I always have been.
So I lived in the Animal Crossing life. You're just visiting. But wow, kind of crazy. Well, let's see if Tom Nook does what a tanuki is most known for. But I'll get into that later. See, in folklore, they operate a little differently. They actually are known as shape-shifting tricksters who can turn themselves into a beautiful woman and like to seduce a man into sex, having him wake up the next morning in the middle of the woods with the worst raccoon crabs he's ever seen.
Yep, Animal Crossing.
Oh my gosh, I'll trade you 3 apples for a BJ. I assume that's what the game is. I have not played it yet.
No, that's spot on.
So they can also impersonate government officials, which is fucking hilarious, who will knock on your door and start harassing you into paying your taxes, or they'll accuse you of some imaginary infraction of the law. And which is another fucking hilarious thing, which is like basically if a shitty like government official shows up, like, oh, that's probably a raccoon dog. Like, I just love that. It's so funny. They also like pretend there's also what's that?
Well, in Animal Crossing, he is like a representative that you take loans from and stuff to like build your house and shit. So he does deal with like the government and money.
Oh, interesting. Another story that I like read because they're like tricksters. One of the tanuki turned himself into a monk, and then when somebody like, because they can't when they transform, they're not like full-fledged like I'm perfect, like they have like telltale signs. And I guess this one was like not great with the language, so he pretended like he was a monk, and then he wrote down in like this weird like handwriting, and like it was all misspelled, but he wrote a note that said like, I'm taking a vow of silence, I cannot speak, and pretended like he was just a fucking like a silent monk in order to like blend in a little bit more. But the guy was like, the handwriting was all fucked up and probably covered in raccoon shit or something. All my letters are covered in raccoon shit.
Raccoon shit makes a mess. God, it looks like someone tipped your cobbler over.
You say tipped your cobbler? It looked like someone tipped the shit cobbler over. Who tipped my shit cobbler?
The seeds everywhere, goddammit. Everything's stained purple.
It had all the corn in it too. Fuck. Anyway, so but the best weapon a tanuki really has is one that most may see as a weakness, or a weakness in humans at least. But no, not the tanuki. The tanuki is known for their many uses of their scrotums, or ball sacks.
Yeah.
Now, does this play a role in Animal Crossing, David?
It absolutely does.
He's known for his ball sack deliveries. He shows up with his ball sack.
I mean, none of the animals in the game wear pants. They only wear shirts.
Ooh, 3 apples for what, David? Ooh, we'll find out, won't we? So, a tanuki, tanukis are depicted using their nut bag as sails for boats, fishing nets, umbrellas, swimming pools, and even cloaks to smother an enemy.
Where do I get one?
How do I get me 3 of those? So
it's like a multi-tool.
So there are actually not many stories of tanukis using their ball sacks to kill enemies, or even like stories of them like using it to make swimming pools and stuff like that. But it actually came into the folklore because it was an art craze during the Edo period, as many people back then liked to draw and paint these creatures performing magnificent feats with their beanbags. So I think it was like kind of a part of the folklore, like a very small part. And then when all the artists started drawing all these like amazing paintings of like a tanuki using his ball sack as like a sail for a boat, just because it makes like an amazing painting, then it started being more intertwined in the folklore as well, and then more stories would be like told about it. But it's very fun. But where the legend actually comes from is that in the old days, metal workers in Kanazawa would wrap gold in the skin of tanuki testicles when making gold leaf. So like how gold leaf needs to be like pounded out like super, super thin?
Yeah.
So I guess when they would hammer the gold to the thinnest sheet possible, they would need the skin that could stretch a long ways without breaking. And it was said that a tanuki scrotum could reach the size of 8 tatami. Now, I can't tell you what a tatami is, but I bet it's 8 times smaller than a tanuki scrotum.
That word sounds, tatami sounds so familiar, but I can't think of what it is.
Can you Google it? I don't have internet over here. I'm moving right now, so I have to fucking deal with. I turned off my hotspot, so I actually want to know what tatami is. But just to wrap this up, while you're looking for tatami, these ball sacks also quickly became synonymous with money and resourcefulness, and tanuki scrotums began to be sold as wallets and lucky charms, said to stretch your money the way they stretched the gold. So it's kind of like, I mean, it's kind of gross if you think about it, but I mean, we do have leather wallets and stuff made of cowhide, which is like not that different from ballsack skin, I guess. I don't know, but it's just kind of funny how, you know, at that point you're putting money in a ballsack to stretch $1, basically.
Yeah. So tatami is like a flooring, like a padded flooring in like a dojo.
Oh, Joe. Like that?
Ojo. Yeah.
No. Oh, that's really cool, actually. I didn't know that. I do know. That's why it kind of sounds familiar. You know, I feel like I haven't been to many dojos, but I have seen Beverly Hills Ninja.
Oh, man.
That movie's so good. But I hear,
is that the one with Chris Farley?
Yeah, Chris Farley. You know, a lot of people say like that movie's not that good, but I do think that's a slept-on Chris Farley movie. It's very, very funny. There's very good scenes in it. But
I liked it when I was a kid.
Yeah, I like him now, but he's dead.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Rest in
but
peace.
they say if you put a $1 in a Tanaki ballsack wallet, it turns into $8. Not really, but
that's a good investment.
We could only wish. But that is my Japanese folklore monsters for you today.
Well, thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome, David.
Oh, my goodness. What a treat that was, huh?
Oh, thanks. I needed that.
Yeah. Well, today I thought I'd take it back to talking about an obscure monster of America. It's been a while since I've covered one of these, you know, sexy beasts. And
damn, I just kind of talk
them.
shit about Monsters of America too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
No, that's fine. How would you know? You wouldn't know. We don't know what stories we're doing going into it. And because you know, I miss talking about these sexy beasts. I know you miss them.
Oh,
so let's
gosh.
take it back. Let's take it back to one sexy beast. Now it's not a surprise. Anybody that listens, I love my home state. And so I'm going to cover the lesser known but believed to be the true monster of the state of Oregon.
Ooh.
Now, typically, what do you think of when you think of an Oregon monster?
You gotta say Bigfoot off the top of the head. Bigfoot is always that woody monster. He's always living in the woods, and what's Oregon known for? It's dense woods.
Well, now typically when people think of Oregon monster, they think of Bigfoot, and you know that's completely reasonable because the damn state runs rampant with those sexy hairy giants. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the one, the only, Colossal Claude. And yes, I'm saying
what?
Claude as in like the French name, Claude.
Ooh, I hope he has a top hat again.
So
See,
I got this idea from...
I was going to say, it's kind of strange how we're both kind of like dipping our toes back in our kind of favorite monster pools right now. And we didn't even know that we were both doing it. But David's covered Bigfoot. He's covered the skunk ape. You've covered... What's the one in the fucking top hat?
That was... I believe that had a Native American name to it that I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
you
it was
covered
basically
a top hat Bigfoot.
It was a Bigfoot that wore top hats and climbed up into people's windows and told children to kill themselves. to put it shortly.
Anyway.
So I got this idea from a list called the American Bestiary.
Ooh.
A list made by Neon Man Studios, who made a list to highlight the most famous mythical creatures in every state of America. And this list actually credits Bigfoot to be Oregon's northern brother, Washington State's monster.
Whoa.
Yeah, the list says that the Bigfoot community was first found in Washington State after an alleged confrontation in 1924 between Bigfoot and some gold miner prospectors on Washington's Mount St. Helens, and this area is now known as Ape Canyon.
Ooh, but you know what? I'm not really mad about that because a lot of
That's fine.
a lot of the terrain is very similar. Here's the thing about Bigfoot. He doesn't understand what borders are. He doesn't follow our rules of jurisdictions. He walks where he walks.
Yeah. No
So.
border can hold him. So, with Biggie Feet out of the conversation, that leaves Oregon with the sexy powerhouse monster named Colossal Claude.
I kind of love that name.
Yeah, it's a great name.
It's very good.
I was very thrilled about it when I saw it, because I looked at the list and I scrolled down to Oregon, and next to Oregon just said Colossal Claude, and I said, "Oh baby, what the fuck is this?"
Do you know what?
I got real excited.
Do you know what California's monster is? Did we get a good one?
They actually have northern and southern on the list, I think. So they actually split it up. I believe northern had something to do with aliens. I didn't really look at it, but there's a map that has drawings of each creature on it, and it kind of looked like Northern California had aliens.
They're very different climates. That makes sense.
Yeah. So if you've never heard of Claude, you're not alone, because I'm a prideful Oregonian who had never heard of him until today. But if you're like me and you want to meet Claude, there's only one place to look, and that's the Oregon coast, because Colossal Claude is a sea beast.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, he's not a Bigfoot guy?
Nope.
Oh, fuck.
It's a sea monster.
Ooh, I thought he was like a
Yeah.
Bigfoot guy. Like, I thought he was just going to be a
Nope.
Bigfoot that wore New Balances.
The biggest New Balances you've done ever seen.
Ooh.
So let's take it back to the first sighting of Sexy Claude. The grizzled ship crew of the lightship Columbia, during a calm sea day in 1934, was docked at the Columbia River Bar and first spotted the sexy sea beast swimming in the water. Crew member L.A. Larson recalled saying, "It was about 40 feet long. It had a neck some 8 feet long, a big ol' sexy round body. I mean, a mean looking tail, and an evil, sexy, snaky look to its head."
Did you say that the body was half the length of the neck?
No, the body was, the whole thing was 40 feet long.
Oh,
and the
40.
neck was 8 feet.
I thought you said 4 feet long. I was like, that boy on neck. That boy on neck.
He all lopsided. He can't even stand.
It's going to take him a year to swallow something.
So, L.A. Larson pointed to Claude, telling his fellow crew members to gaze upon his royal and voluptuous body. And the crew, horny as hell from being on a docked boat. Once you get on a boat, you realize you're going to sea. You just get horny.
You do, which is actually making me. I really want to ask the question. Speaking of, how many nipples this monster got?
We haven't been able to flip them, so we don't know.
Oh, I tried.
Horny as hell from being on the boat. They all sprinted to get their binoculars, and they all spent some time studying the regal monster. The crew begged and begged to lower the boat into the sea to get a closer look at their long neck love, but their officers would not let them for fear of the crew battling to the death for the creature's love. And they were also afraid that maybe the beast would swamp the boat and attack it.
Wait, are you actually being serious? They were afraid that the sailors would fucking fall in love with it?
No, they're just afraid it was gonna sink it.
Okay. I was like, does it have like some magical power, like a mermaid, that like even though it's fucking ugly, it can like you said, when you're out there, a sponge starts looking pretty voluptuous after a while, even with its stinky sour smell. Ooh,
and its discharge.
I love my sponge.
So it was also noted that the Columbia River had been notoriously rough and dangerous water at this time. In January 1934, not long before the Colossal Claude sighting, the Oregonian reported that the lightship Columbia and the crew had successfully endured a month of dangerous storms. So they noted that one of the crew members had snapped from the chaotic nature of the water, driving him insane. The newspaper wrote, he became insane and had to be tied up.
Oh, he came all right.
He had to be, yeah. He had to be tied up for safety until the lighthouse tender was able to creep up close enough to him and 3 days later take him off the boat and hustle him ashore where they could get him relaxed and quiet his nerves.
What the fuck?
So
just from the waves?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The ocean is a fearless beast that can swallow your pride.
Honestly, it is kind of crazy on how like much we take the ocean for granted. Like we're like, oh, it's so nice. I'm like, dude, it is. Imagine like we have these
terrifying.
We have these boats and these ships and like these navigation systems and these safety protocols we have like in order to stay safe out there. But like imagine being like, okay, you're gonna hop on this pirate ship and we're going across the Pacific or Atlantic, and if it breaks, we're all fucking dead. And like we have lifeboats, but still like those aren't going much anywhere.
It's like, oh, how deep is this water? Deeper than we can imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
What lives in the water? We have no idea.
it's like, oh, well, if the boat goes down, we'll drown. But don't worry, because we brought lifeboats. So if you guys want to starve to death, you can hop on one of those first.
Yeah. You can either starve to death or be eaten. So
Exactly.
it's your call, really. So could have Colossal Claude driven this man insane with his sexiness? How powerful is this creature? Some people try to say that Colossal Claude was just the result of sea madness, but it's just not true. So 3 months after Claude's first sighting and disappearance, a bizarre carcass was reported to wash up on Long Beach Peninsula. Did I say that one
please don't
right?
be Claude.
It's a hard word.
Peninsula.
Peninsula in southwest Washington state. And there was some speculation that this could have been Claude, but nothing further was printed in the newspaper and no other accounts were made. So like there's like no, like there was a newspaper article saying like, oh, could this be him? And that was like kind of it. You know, there's no Twitter back then.
There goes fucking Washington trying to steal Oregon's monsters again. I'm fucking sick
know.
of it. I'm really tired.
Yep.
I've had
I'm
it up
just
to my
sick to
8
my
foot
stomach.
fucking neck.
So people believed it to be like an oarfish or a decomposed whale shark. So our sweet boy Claude was still lurking in the deep.
Yay.
So fishermen and the crew of other various vessels also say they saw the massive serpent beast. And in 1937, a trawler docked in Astoria, home of the classic film Goonies. And the skipper of that boat... Yeah, I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So the skipper of that boat came ashore and reported seeing a long, hairy, tan-colored creature.
Whoa! Is that Burt Reynolds?
With the head of an overgrown horse. Yes. Oh, yeah. About 40 feet long.
Yo,
Ooh.
don't call those bronies up right now. I'm fucking telling you, dog. They fucking gonna be riding that thing down into the depths.
And the last description that this skipper had was a 4-foot dummy thick waist measure.
Ooh, he got around to the waist. Ooh.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's like, I have to measure you for scientific purposes. Ooh, look at all these nipples on the bottom side. Ooh.
I need to figure out how your lips taste. Come on over
It's
here.
for science. It's for science. I'm telling you.
Swim on over here. Let me taste you. So, after the skipper ran to report this to the locals, the local fishermen calmly listened to his story and nodded, saying, "It's Claude." So, all the fishermen knew Claude.
Oh, that boy, that's Claude.
Oh yeah, that's a Claude. You telling me you owe me $3.50?
You tell me still owes me. I pierced all of his nipples and he never paid me. This ain't class. This ain't free piercing.
That's 12 nipple rings down the drain.
I told him go to class if you have 12 nipples. I'm not gonna do it for free.
So after a few months, another report came in from a couple with the last name White. The couple had gone on a trip to the Devil's Churn, 120 miles south from the original sighting at the Columbia River, and the couple had been enjoying the coast, looking out the ocean, all romantically, when they saw something sexy enough to drive them mad. Just offshore, they saw a huge, hairy thing that looked like what they called an aquatic giraffe. Whoa. With a long neck, maned head sticking up 15 feet or so above the water. This couple estimated that Claude was about 55 feet overall in length. After drooling over the sight of Claude, the beast started to head south along the shore, and the Whites sprinted to their car and raced after it. Making it for Hemmett Head, the thirsty couple was waiting to see more observations. They were lucky and caught Claude and got to watch him for a short time until he turned and headed out to sea and was gone from their sight, but never forgotten from their hearts. It was said the Whites named their firstborn Claude, even though they had a daughter.
What? Wait.
No, I lied.
Oh, okay.
I made that last part up.
I was going to say, you know what happened, right? The baby came out and the dad looked at the baby and they said, it's a girl. And he goes, nope, that's not a girl. That Claude.
They're delivering the baby, and the nurses just kept pulling, and the neck just kept going.
And going. So many nipples. So many fucking nipples.
So much blood.
You have no idea what a 44-inch waist will do to a woman.
On April 13th, 1939, a crew of a fishing boat named the Argo claimed to have the closest sighting yet. Once again, Claude was in his old stomping grounds just off the Columbia River, and Captain Chris Anderson reported that the monster passed within 10 feet of the boat. The Argo and its crew observed as its head and snaky neck jutting 10 feet above the waves went by their boat. Captain Anderson said one of his crew members was begging for his senpai to notice him and grabbed the boat hook and tried to poke Claude. But Anderson stopped him. Yeah, Anderson stopped him out of fear of making Claude angry or maybe even hornier.
Ooh, don't tease him with that hook.
So Captain Anderson said, he could have sank us with a nudge. His head was like a camel's. His fur was coarse and gray. He had glassy eyes and a beaked snout that he used to push a 20-pound halibut off of our lines and into his mouth.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say,
Bring it
it's
up.
really crazy how, like, obviously there's a lot of folklore and stuff out there. And, like, you know, people go, like, Nessie. People go, like, you know, there's so many different things out there. But the way they describe these, like, creatures and stuff, yes, it could be hearsay. It could be, you know, word of mouth, or somebody goes, oh, I think I saw it. But, like, imagine if you're on your boat and then all of a sudden you saw, like, that fucking thing with its hair and it's like giraffe horse head like poking out of the water. Like, you couldn't tell anybody about that because everybody would be like, oh, it was probably this thing and you were mistaken. Like, we've gotten to the point where we're so jaded about like folklore and cryptids that we're like, oh, it must have been something else. But like, it's very possible that like back in the whenever this was happening, that the creature was still alive, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy to think about in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, unfortunately, the Argo case is the last confirmed sighting of the sexy beast Colossal Claude.
No.
And I fear with the Argo's close sighting stating that his fur was gray, that means he could have been at an old age at the time and more than likely passed on from our war-torn world.
No. I mean, at least he's at peace and rest now. That's good.
Yes. There have been a few sightings by individuals after the Argo, but when it comes down to like a whole crew, like a whole ship of crew seeing the beast compared to like one person being like, oh yeah, no, I saw that, it makes it harder to categorize it as legitimate. But that's like one of the big things is like multiple large boats of like tons of people all saw this thing.
Boats of repute.
It wasn't just one...
boats that have like, they have no... There's not just like some crazy guy out there fishing. These are like boats like, that are fishing boats. And like, they have nothing to gain by telling people this shit.
Exactly. And I think that just makes it a little more legitimate that like this, Claude actually could have been like a real thing. One of the last of its kind swimming around. Who knows?
Exactly.
Never know.
It's crazy. But
so marine biologists have said that Colossal Claude was probably a whale shark or some form of a elasmobranch, which is the family of sharks. But then the legend had overwhelmed the public belief, and in all reality, which part of his sexy description comes close? Like, what part of his description comes close to being like a shark besides it being in water?
Exactly.
So, sadly for people like me who had never heard of him, coverage of Claude has stopped completely, and the last mention in the Oregonian was in 1967, leading Claude to be a forgotten legend in some senses.
No.
But I am a firm believer of this sexy monster, and I hope one day, when I'm sitting at Moe's on the Oregon coast enjoying a bread bowl of clam chowder, Claude or Claude Jr. might surface just to give me a little wink and keep on swimming. Because that moment will be for Claude and myself and no one else.
That's a beautiful send-off, David. I really like that.
Yeah,
but you know what? You know how we can honor him?
I got emotional.
You know how we can honor him even more? When you eventually move back up to Oregon, I think you should start maybe softball, kickball, some kind of sports intramural league, and call yourself the Colossal Claudes.
I think that's a great idea.
Right? You could have some cool design shirts, a little sea monster on them. And now, you know what? If you get first place, it will be the first time since 1967 that he will be mentioned in the Oregonian.
God, I'm going to build a high school, and our mascot will be the Colossus Claudes.
Why not? I mean, we could start a petition.
I mean, why not? Just build a high school. It's not that fucking hard.
Just go have a bunch of kids and send them to my high school. Yeah, the teachers aren't certified. Who fucking cares? The mascot's sick.
We don't have a cafeteria. You think I give a shit? Go to Pizza Hut.
Bring your own
down
lunch,
the street.
Assholes. Anyway, wow, that's a great little story. I kind of, now I'm kind of upset that he's long forgotten, but you know what? We're talking about him, and that's all that matters. He's coming back in memory. They say you die twice. The first time is when you die, and the second time is when somebody says your name for the very last time. And guess what? We're keeping Colossal Claude alive, baby.
Baby!
So, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Camp Strange. We love it when you do, and we love telling you these stories. If you guys want any more information, you go to campstrange.com and check out all of our hyperlinks. We have our episodes up there, and we have all the hyperlinks for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You could also send us an email at campstrangepodcast@gmail.com, and we would love it if you could rate, review, and subscribe. And also, if you like shirts and mugs, we got those in the merch store, so you can also check those out and have yourself a nice shirt and mug time. I think that's all we have for you today. David, would you like to say anything as we leave?
Moisturize.
What the fuck did you say?
Moisturize.
Moisturize. Okay, and also, don't forget to stay strange.